All right, let's talk about communist China. But in order to understand why China becomes communist, we first need to understand the history of China. Now, China was imperialized by a ton of different countries in the 1800s, and you can see that right here on this map. We've got the British coming in, we've got the French, the Germans, the Japanese, and then the Russians. The one that's going to be particularly important to talk about are going to be the British. Now, in the 1800s, 10% of the British economy was based in tea. Now, the Chinese were not buying that British tea, so the British have to find another way of making that income. So they control India. India's got a large number of poppy fields. You can take this poppy, you can create opium, which becomes a very highly addictive drug that you can sell in China. They get addicted to opium, they're going to have your revenue coming in because they're going to keep buying that supply. This is going to lead to the first and second Opium Wars. Now, the reason I'm mentioning that is a result of the Opium Wars, China loses. Okay, the Qing dynasty loses, and China is really opened up for imperialism at this point. There's really nothing the Chinese can do to stop it. It's going to be at the beginning of about a century of humiliation for the Chinese. Now, in 1911, we're going to get the Wujin Revolution. And the Wujin Revolution is going to come in and overthrow the Qing dynasty. Remember, the Qing dynasty had lost pretty much all power that they would have had when it comes to getting rid of the outside influence in China, and really a lot of power within China as a result of the Opium Wars. Okay, so the Qing dynasty is falling and coming down slowly, and then we had the 1911 Wujin Revolution, where they are officially removed. And they're going to be replaced by a representative form of government. Now, this government is going to align with the military leader of the Qing dynasty, because at this time, the Qing dynasty was controlled by a child emperor. So he really had no power. Instead, there is a military general who was really in charge of running imperial China, or the Qing dynasty version of China at this time. He's going to come down, overthrow the leader of the Wujin Revolution, and form a military dictatorship. Okay, so it's really a replacing of one thing with the same thing, except a different person in power. Eventually, that military dictator is going to die, and Chiang Kai-shek is going to return, who is a man right here in this picture. And he's going to create the Kuomintang. Now, they're going to go on to form a military dictatorship. And this is going to be causing a number of issues when it comes to China. Then, in 1923, they're going to align with the Communist Party of China. Now, they're going to do this for a number of reasons. Number one, China was incredibly divided at this time period into a bunch of different territories controlled by warlords. They did not want that. The communists had the ability to organize this all together under one. So the communists are going to be doing this because, one, they're going to help get the organization, but number two, they're going to be allowed to spread their ideology, and the Kuomintang are going to be a larger organization, so they're going to have a lot more power than the communists. It's a way of really getting yourself in with the good people ahead of time, so everything is protected. The Kuomintang are going to do this or allow this partnership because it's going to allow for unification. Now, on the May 4th, we get the May 4th movement. Now, the May 4th movement is coming in after World War I, and this was a group of student protests in a result to the weak Chinese present at the Treaty of Versailles. Now, at the Treaty of Versailles, there were Chinese officials who were present, but they really didn't do anything. These students were wanting the Chinese to really make good representation and get China some international recognition, and that does not happen. In fact, Japan is actually going to gain chunks of land that were previously occupied by the Chinese as a result of the Treaty of Versailles. These students are very upset by that. They do not feel that their government is protecting them. They're going to stand up and go against them. And this group is going to organize and form the Chinese, or the Communist Party of China, the precursor to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party of today. Now, in 1927, we're going to get the White Terror, and this is going to happen. You can see in these kind of graphic pictures. This is one of the more light pictures that I could find when I was creating this. If you really want to understand the White Terror, just Google the White Terror under images. You're going to see some disturbing images, but it'll really help you understand exactly how terrifying this event really was. So what's going to happen is Chiang Kai-shek is going to hear of a communist plot to overthrow him. He does not like this, and as a result, he is going to lead a massive crackdown of Chinese officials or communist officials in China. And this is going to lead to the death of thousands of Chinese communist. Now, this is important because this is going to be going on in the back of Mao's head as he goes and continues to form his country later on. The USSR at this point is a country that's been existing about 10 years, is going to call for the CPC to aggressively fight the Kuomintang. They're going to see them as a communist ally and someone that they can help to spread this communist revolution that communism is really founded upon. Now, China is going to be divided into territories controlled by warlords. Again, it's going to kind of all fall back apart at this time. It was getting a little bit more organized, and then once you have the White Terror, things start to fall apart again. The country is in ruin. Then in 1932, Japan is going to invade Manchuria. Now remember, after World War I, the world's countries really come together and form the League of Nations. Now, the League of Nations was supposed to stop anything like this from happening. However, when Japan invaded Manchuria, the League of Nations pretty much just sat back and did nothing. Japan took this as a way of saying we can invade however we want and nothing will stop us. The Chinese took this very, very offensively and did not like this. They also saw a major threat to their way of life in China and realized that if they did not do something quick, that they would no longer be existing. Chiang believes that the communists are going to conquer, that the communists will cause the Japanese to be able to conquer his country. He does not see this division within the country as a good thing, so he needs to figure out a way of really resolving this. So what he's going to do is at first he's going to attempt to destroy the Communist Party of China. He's going to surround them in the mountains. Mao and his officials are going to be leading out of there. The main leader of China, or the communists at this time, is actually going to die. And then Mao is going to be the one who's taking over. But it's important to understand that 90% of the Communist Party of China, their fighters were killed at this time period. So there's about 10% left, which means if Mao wants to have any power and the communists want to have any power, they need to start recruiting. And this is going to lead to a massive recruitment campaign by Mao. Additionally, at this time, Mao sees the need for unity. He realizes that if they do not have some unity right now, China will no longer exist at all. He offers an alliance with Chiang. Chiang refuses to do this. However, his generals disagreed with him on that one, held him as hostage until he accepted and agreed to form this unity with the Chinese, or the communists in China. And this is going to form the Second United Front. So they had previously aligned in 1923, and now in 1937, in the face of Japanese invasion, they're going to align again. Now, during this invasion, Mao is going to let the Kuomintang do pretty much all of the fighting versus the Japanese. He's just going to sit back. His fighters will assist if need be, but most of the fighting is going to be done not by the communists, but by the Kuomintang. Now, this is significant because it's going to allow them to be much weaker after the war. They do not have as many soldiers left because a number of them were killed by the Japanese. The Second United Front is going to end in 1945 when the Japanese surrender in World War II. Now, the communists are stronger than ever before. They take leftover Japanese weapons. The Kuomintang forces are depleted after fighting the Japanese because Mao just sat back and let the Kuomintang do all the fighting, and then they are weak. Now, the Chinese communists are going to capture Beijing, and they're going to capture the city of Nanking, two of the largest cities in China at this time. Chiang Kai-shek, fears for his life, is going to flee to the town, or the island of Taiwan, where he is going to continue to run a government until his death. Then, on October 1st, 1949, Mao, as you can see in this picture, proclaims the Communist People's Republic of China. And that is where China is today. If you have any questions, comments, put it down below. Otherwise, good luck.